this is James, and I'm here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting July the 16th, 2018. I am very excited about the deck selection for this week's Oracle Outlook because it is a brand spanking new deck in my collection. It literally arrived just yesterday, actually. So I'm reading with it right out of the box, so to speak. The deck that I'm working with this week is the Everyday Witch Tarot. It is by Deborah Blake with artwork by Elisabeth Alba, and it is published by Llewellyn. So a little bit of backstory about why I have this particular deck. So this deck is actually a natural offshoot, if you will, to my working with the Gypsy Witch fortune telling playing cards. I have been working with those steadily since I've gotten those, and I'm in this kind of, I guess, space because of the witch aspect of the Gypsy Witch cards that has kind of been in this witchy vibe, I guess. So I came across this deck by chance, but is there anything really by chance? But that's how I came across it on YouTube. I saw some video reviews on it and I fell in love with it. I thought it was quite cute. I thought it was charming. It's a little kitschy, but I like it, and so I'm very excited to see what's in the cards with us or for us this week using this deck. So again, I'm working with the Everyday Witch Tarot by Deborah Blake and Elisabeth Alba, and it is published by Llewellyn. So now that I've introduced the deck, let's now move into this week's reading. And now I'm taking the deck in hand. I'm going to take a few moments to shuffle the cards. And as I shuffle the cards, I'm focusing on my usual intention and question for these weekly general readings. And that is, what do we need to know for the week ahead? All right, now I'm going to go ahead and cut the cards. And just like I did last week, I'm going to take the bottom card from the deck and put that to one side. That's going to serve as the base card or the underlying influence. And so now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and fan out the rest of the cards. And I'm going to be looking for 3 cards. I like this one, and this one. So that was very easy. So those are the 3 cards. Because when I work with tarot, I typically draw 3 cards. And I'm putting the remainder of the deck to one side. So now I have the 4 cards in front of me. And we'll take a look at the first card. Again, the first card was the base card. So this is going to serve as the basis of the matter for this week, or what the underlying influence or energy, or another way of looking at it, I call it the intention card. So this would be like the underlying intention for the week. So taking a look at the card, we have, here we have the 6 of Cups. So Cups for me is the suit that represents feelings, emotions, relationships. So that may be the underlying energy this week. It may be emotional energy. Could be the energy that we put into relating to other people this week. It could even be the energy of healing a particular relationship, and so I'm going somewhere with that. So typically the 6 of Cups can represent the past, it could represent nostalgia, it can represent memories. So there may be some underlying influence connected to a past situation, a past relationship. For some people it may have to do with childhood issues that are coming up, that are being addressed, or something having to do with a child in the family. So those are some aspects of the 6 of Cups. I'm looking at the image, and so I'm seeing in it there's an adult who's giving, it looks like flowers to a younger person in the card. So this could just be a matter of something being exchanged. It could be a gift, and there may be something of a heartfelt nature or an emotional nature or quality to the gift, to the exchange. It could also be, because I'm keying on the idea of something from the past, it could be saying to like something of an heirloom or an antique or something that's been held in the family for some time is being passed from one person to the next, right? It's being, in a way, it's making me feel like something is being handed down to the next generation. With that, it may be some sort of kind of a tradition in the family that we pass something down to the next person coming up in the lineage or the line, or that kind of thing. But I'm seeing this idea that maybe something that's old or has some sort of antique quality to it being passed down from another person, from one person to another. This could also be the time where we are making arrangements. I'm looking at all the floral arrangements, and that's a visual pun for me about making arrangements. So there may be some sort of arrangements being made around maybe a visit from somebody that we haven't seen in some time, or we're going to a place where we used to live, or a childhood home, or a place where we grew up. There's something about like a return to the past. So either somebody is visiting and it's a person that we used to be connected to, or that we are making arrangements to go somewhere where we used to be. With that, the idea here is that the Six of Cups is like a strolling down memory lane card. So if it's not all of that, then maybe the emphasis or the underlying intention is that we may be strolling down memory lane, and with that, it may be about revisiting the past, and we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to look at it either fondly, like maybe if the past was challenging, is there some good in it? Is there some aspects of the past that were good that we can look at, with a sense of fondness? Or are we looking at the past in a way that kind of ignores something that has happened and something that needs to be addressed, maybe something of emotional hurt, emotional pain, and we're being asked to, if we're going to go there, then let's not do it in a way that kind of dismisses something that needs to be addressed. Again, because I'm feeling that I'm looking at all the green in the card, and for me there may be something of a past nature that needs to be healed. Right, so I'm seeing that. It could also be too, because I'm seeing something else in my mind that's leading me to say this. This may be the week where we're having an honest conversation about something that took place in the past, and with that, it's about assuming responsibility. So if we're going to bring up the past, it's an idea of either one or two things. Either a person who was not responsible or didn't hold themselves responsible or accountable for what happened is now claiming or wanting to accept responsibility for that. Or that we are going to be responsible for how we present the past, or how we use our words in terms of communication, because I'm seeing all of that. It's about making me feel like if we're not just strolling down memory lane, if we're wanting to address something that happened in the past, how can we do that in a way that's responsible, or how can we do that responsibly, is what I want to say. So that was the Six of Cups. So now let's take a look at the card on the far left. And here we have, okay, this makes perfect sense. So here we have the Chariot. So the Chariot is all about direction, right? That's my first go-to keyword or meaning for this card. It's about direction. And with that, I'm loving the image here, because it could be saying too, like we're at a place in our life and we're questioning, where do we go from here? And in the image on the card, a young witch is on a motorbike, and she's come to a part in the road where there are two signposts. One says this way and one says that way. And so she's at a place where she has to figure out or come to a decision about which way does she want to go. So I'm going to go back to what I said with the previous card about if we're wanting to review the past with the idea of healing the past, and we need to have a conversation about that, then this card as a follow-up would suggest, how do you want to approach that? There may be more than one way to approach it, and it's a matter of picking the right and perfect approach to the situation, right? And it could just be saying too, like, seeing something else. So maybe if, we're revisiting the past, or we are, being reconnected with people from the past, it could just be a matter of picking up where we left off, this kind of thing, because it's making me feel like we're picking up where we left off, or that we're questioning where we're going with this previous past situation, experience, relationship, and where do we want that to go from here, right? And we want to do it with the idea that we're looking for it to be successful, because the Chariot is all about success and recognition for me. So it's about going on this journey to some degree because we want to be successful, right? We're at the end of it, we want to see some level of success being made. Now, Another thing could be with this card, for me the Chariot is a career card because I'm looking at the motorbike, and the motorbike is a vehicle. So for me that could represent careers. And it could just be saying too, like, what is the vehicle that you want your career to take shape or to be formed as? Like, what vehicle is that going to be the best thing to get you going in your career or on this leg of your journey with your career, with that in mind? So I'm seeing that. If it's not about career and we're just talking about moving in life and where do we go from here, then this card is saying to, like, what's the destination? Where do you see yourself going? This is about maybe having a life goal, and what do you need to do in terms of the journey? That would be the steps to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. So I'm seeing that. So it could just be a matter of a life direction. You know, maybe you're changing lanes, so to speak, and it's a matter of focusing on what the destination is, what the goal is, and then what do you need to do to create in terms of action steps that would take you down or get you closer to that destination. In the bigger picture of life, the Chariot is reminding us that life is also about the journey. So sometimes we get so focused on being goal-oriented and looking down the road that we sometimes forget about the journey, and the journey is all about where we are in the moment. So I'm looking at this and it's making me feel like in the bigger picture of life, if you will, in your journey of it right now at this moment, are you enjoying the scenery? Because I'm looking at this image, it's making me feel like taking the scenic route. So are you enjoying the scenery? Are you taking time to be in the moment and appreciate where you're at, in addition to where you're going? Right, so this card is just making me feel like we can be focused on moving forward, advancement, progression, those kinds of things. But at the same point in time, this card is giving us a heads up to say, as you're doing that, would you be willing to honor where you're at in the moment and appreciate the scenery, appreciate what's around you at this moment? So that's how I would look at the Chariot. The middle card. Okay, so first thing I see a pattern here. So here we have the Six of Swords. So that pattern that I talked about is that we have two sixes being repeated here. So 6 is a number. When I use tarot and this number repeats, it's a number of responsibility, which I talked about. It's a number of healing, which I talked about already. And it's a number of choices. And that's very interesting because it kind of repeats the imagery here in the Chariot with the person being at a place in the road and they have to decide which way they're going to go. So again, responsibility, healing, choices. So that is the 6 as a number repeating. And again, the 6 could also be something having to do with family or something on the home front, because 6 is a number of home and being domesticated, things of that nature. So I tend to look at it as a home and family number. So again, for some of us, this may be a focus on, you know, a family-oriented issue, that kind of thing. And I will say this, because I'm being reminded that the Chariot for me represents the sign of Cancer. And Cancer for me is a sign of home and family. So there may be some issue on the home front for a lot of us this week going forward. Now, the Six of Swords is a card about making a transition. So it's about moving from one stage of life to the next stage, because swords represents lifestyle. So it's about, you know, moving from one state to the next, and so we're maybe in that in-between stage. And that would make sense of, like, again, going with the Chariot, about being at this place where we're kind of at a metaphorical fork in the road, and we have to think about where do we want to go from here, kind of thing. So there is that being repeated. It could also suggest, too, like if somebody's experiencing some kind of challenge with that transitional phase, the Six of Swords can represent a situation that starts out problematic or difficult. As time goes on, it becomes much easier. So it's making me think like, you know, you're moving into a place where you're about to come to the light at the end of the tunnel. So the transition could be the tunnel itself, and now we're moving, we're making progress. And it's very interesting because the Six of Swords is a travel card, and the Chariot is a travel card. So if it's not travel in a literal sense, and one of the things I did say was that maybe revisiting a place where you used to be or somebody's coming to visit, that would imply travel, right? But if it's not in the literal sense, and this is just in the metaphorical sense about this idea about going places, you know, moving forward, that metaphorical journey through life, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm seeing that being repeated, and so as we're doing that, as we make this journey, as we make some movement, some progress, things become much easier. But it's also, I'm thinking too with this, I'm looking at the image, and the witch on the back end of the broom could also be, you know, this idea with the swords in his or her knapsack, this idea about past or prior experiences. So here's what I want to say with this. Whenever I talk about experiences, it's about taking what you gained in terms of wisdom, knowledge, experience, and that becomes a part of you, and you carry that forward. So if you're wanting to work on healing a past situation, it could just be a matter of you're wanting to do that so you can take whatever it is that you've learned as a result of that experience, whatever knowledge you've acquired, you know, whatever wisdom or insight, and that is going to be a part of you going forward, right? So there is that. Now, if we're talking about choices, then this card is about making choices objectively. So it could just be saying too, like, how can you make more decisions from a place of being maybe more logical, rational, analytical, as opposed to being very rooted in your emotions about it, right? So that is the Six of Swords. And so now let's take a look at the final card. And here we have, boy, okay. There's a real big theme here. So the last card we have here is the Wheel of Fortune. So the first thing that I want to say is that the Wheel of Fortune, like the Chariot, is a major arcana card. So we have two cards from the major arcana, you know, bookending the reading. So there may be some important issues or events being highlighted, and as a result of those issues or events, they are designed for our spiritual growth or personal growth and development. That's how I always look at major arcana cards, because they carry more weight in the reading. This card is number 10. So 10 is a number of transition. So that idea about being in transitional phase is being repeated. And so that means that there's a phase that's ending and it's leading to some new phase or chapter or experience that's about to start. That's how I look at the 10. And then the 10 is also a number of success. So again, it just reinforces this idea about going on a journey, and we're going on it with the intention that we want to reach some level of success. That's being repeated with the number 10. When the Wheel of Fortune comes up, the Wheel of Fortune is an opportunity card. It's an opportunity for growth, development, evolution, and expansion. So in the personal sense, this could be a time where we're moving towards personal growth and development. If you're a spiritually minded person, this may be an opportunity coming your way that's going to allow you to grow, evolve, and expand, right? So there is one way of looking at that. And the interesting thing about all three cards, the Chariot, the Six of Swords, and the Wheel of Fortune, is that they all represent movement. They all represent travel. The Chariot and the Wheel of Fortune in particular, for somebody may be faced with an opportunity of getting a new set of wheels, because for me, when the two cards show up, they represent a literal car, you know, and so, or car or some kind of vehicle. And I did mention a vehicle earlier on, right? So somebody may be actually be faced with or presented with an opportunity that's going to land them in a new set of wheels. But if it's not the literal, then the Wheel of Fortune, again, being presented with an opportunity in which we may have to weigh the pros and the cons, because there may be some sort of risk or gamble attached to that, because I sometimes see the Wheel of Fortune as like a roulette wheel. So there may be something attached to that. I talked about this idea about feelings and emotions with the Six of Cups earlier on, right? From an emotional standpoint, when the Wheel of Fortune comes up, it represents going through an emotional roller coaster, right? Because the Wheel of Fortune would be about cycles or patterns, and they may be of an emotional nature. So it's this idea about being on an emotional roller coaster ride. We're riding through the ups and downs in life, and life does have its ups and downs moments, I should say. And so maybe we're at a place where, from an emotional standpoint, we're seeing or becoming aware of cycles and patterns from the past that are coming back up. And they're coming back up because they need to be healed. Those patterns need to be interrupted, and we need to break some kind of cycle. So if you're finding yourself being in a place where something is happening again and again, or we're in a situation where it seems like we're going around and around and we're not getting anywhere, that's a sign that there may be a cycle or a pattern at work, and you're being asked to identify it and make some different choices or decisions, and that would be the 2 6s repeating, because it's really a matter of choice. The only way that something really changes is because we either change something about the way we think about it, or we change how we are handling the situation in terms of a habit, a tendency, or a behavior. So the Wheel of Fortune as the last card is a big deal card this week. It represents, for some of us, going back to being spiritually minded, it could be a matter of, if you believe in this, it could be a matter of fate or destiny stepping in and presenting you with an opportunity that's going to turn things around and change your life for the better. But you have to be open to receiving it, and you have to be willing, in part, to maybe do something differently with that opportunity. So that is how I will end this week's Oracle Outlook. And as I close, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for sharing space here with me for this week's Oracle Outlook, and I look forward to seeing you in the same space again for our next video reading together. So until then, this is James Himm Mitchell. I'm wishing you a wonderful day, and I'm hoping that you have a tarot-tastic week. Take care.